Hello everybody and welcome to the northeast corner of South Africa, the world's most beautiful country. We are sitting on the western fringes of the great Kruger National Park and you are watching Safari Live.
Ready.
Standing by.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. You are live, you are live.
And there is a waterhole, everybody. It's a balmy 26 degrees Celsius here. And if I remember correctly, that is, what did you say, 76 degrees Fahrenheit, everybody. My name is James Henry. On camera today is VM Braak. We're dressed in relatively summery clothes because although it is still the middle of winter, it is pretty warm. Down there, some nyalas, a cow and a calf. And she is accompanied by a number of other nyalas who are all down in this dam that when I started some 18 months ago was filled to the brim with water and is now but a dust bowl, shortly possibly to be filled by the deluge. It is predicted to ensue as a result of El Niño, which of course is a weather pattern that comes through these areas, and you have to say it like that, otherwise it just doesn't sound right, does it, VM?
No, but isn't it El Niño that's going to come? Or is that the one that's...
Is it La Niña?
Yeah.
Or El Niño? It's one of the two. One of the two is going to dump a lot of water over here. Now, is La Niña, I'm sorry. Two things that you have to know about today's drive. The first is that this thing in my ear is a Bluetooth earpiece. And that means that I should be able to get out of the car and still hear what's going on. And the second, that leads me to the second thing, and that is that in the other, in my ear, is Rebecca Christensen. She is directing this afternoon and returned from leave. On the second directing chair, Luisi Pavid is back. It's good to have her back. On the other vehicle, Brent Leo Smith is being driven about. I was just listening to some birds, sorry. Is being driven about. No, Brent is actually doing the driving, isn't he? Yes, he's driving, and he's being filmed by Brian the Thumb Joubert, and they will introduce themselves to you shortly. We are completely live, which means that we'd love to talk to you through the course of the afternoon. Hashtag SafariLive or questions at wildearth.tv. If you are a new viewer, even if you're the most ancient viewer we've ever had, please keep telling us where you're from. It's always nice to know where you're from. Ask us questions, send us comments, anything you like. We'll answer what we can, and if we can't answer it, somebody, some clever viewer, will probably be able to answer your query. There are also some buffalo walking through that woodland over there. Now, actually, they seem to have disappeared. They have disappeared, haven't they, VM? So let's move back and see what we can find. And my plan this afternoon is to head towards Cheetah Plains. And so while I'm on my way there, let's head across to Brent Leo Smith and find out what plans are.
Welcome to a fabulous day out here in the African bush, and the killer bees, that's Brent, Brian, accompanied by the Thumb, are going to take you on the most wonderful African safari. We are in search of lions. We were lucky enough to see 3 tiny little lion cubs this morning, and now we're going to see if we can find them again on the Sunset Safari. The rest of the Nkahuma Pride, which is our main pride of females, have been giving us the slip over the last drive or two. So hopefully we're able to produce another 4 lionesses and 5 cubs. How so many can hide? Only lions can tell. I think they're still in this area somewhere. I can't find any tracks of them coming out. I'm hoping they've got thirsty and had a meander towards the Buffelshoek waterhole, which is going to be our first point of call on this Sunset Safari. Now, the killer bees remind you that the 28th of August is Killer Bee Day. Killer bees, exactly. We'll be celebrating all things killer bee and beginning with B. So if you've got any ideas about any fun games we can play on the 28th of August, International Bowtie Day, but more importantly, Killer Bee Day, you can let us know by popping an email to questions@wildearth.tv or use the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. Now, lions, where are you hiding? So it's been quite a warm day, about 27 degrees Celsius, which is around 80 Fahrenheit. And I think, hopefully, that before it got too hot, those lions meandered up towards the Buffelshoek waterhole to quench their thirst in the muddy remnants that are there. Probably more elephant urine than water at the moment, but if you're a lion, you're still going to get the moisture you need. This is one of my favorite little spots, and I keep waiting for the day I'm going to spot a big cat from above. I've seen them on the opposite side, but I've never managed to spot them off this cliff, and I'm just waiting for the day. I think it's going to be a leopard, the first one we spot down here. Quite nice, so we can get way up above the little river system, have a good look down there. Alas, nothing there right now. This morning we had some Inyala down there, but I'm pretty sure they've moved on during the day, looking for different areas to feed in. So we were with the Nkuma lioness who's got the 3 youngest cubs. They are getting to the age where they are probably going to be introduced into the pride shortly. And she was moving den sites. So now once they're a little bit more mobile, they're around that sort of 8-9 week mark, the dens move more regularly, sort of every 2 to 3 days. When they're younger, they sort of stay in one place for much longer. So she's moved their den into that Gwari Pan drainage system, which is a tributary of this little river system we're going through now. So there's actually the junction of the 2 little rivers. So she went pretty much up that one towards that big tree and then northeast from there. So this morning, when we first found her, she was at the den that James had her at yesterday on the Sunset Safari, and she decided, I was half hoping she might be taking those cubs through to introduce them to the pride for the first time, but then when she dived into those little ravines, I realized she was just looking for another den site. Now, of all the den sites she's chosen so far, this one that we found her at this morning is the worst. Now, the reason being that is that our roads are made on big old elephant paths, and lots of other predators like hyenas use those elephant paths. So, and it was very close. It was actually just here, and amongst that little thicket there, where she had the cubs. But fortunately, she has moved them to a much safer place. So while we see if we can pull a kitty cat out of the bush by the tail, let's go see how James is faring in the southern side of the reserve.
We were just attacked by a tree, everybody, but we've got over it. Don't worry, we'll be okay. VM, are you all right? He's okay, everyone. He's lost one of his eyes, but that's okay. He can still see out of the other one. We will fearlessly continue with this drive. We have a first aid kit. I will administer some sort of help to him later on. Now, we have not arrived at Cheetah Plains, obviously, because, well, we'd have driven at supersonic speeds to get there. We're going to drive down the riverbed here, and I think Brent will probably come into that sort of area sometime today. That's where he reckoned the lions were. So I'm going to leave him to do that because he obviously had a good idea of where they were from this morning. We're going to go on a short boat ride down to the bottom of the Mlwamati drainage line, and we'll see what we can find there. Now, of course, because I have this Bluetooth earpiece in my ear, I'm able to sit like this. I'm able to engage the low range, put it in second gear, let it run, and sit like this. I've never done this before. It feels very good. Thank you. Thank you very much. Nice tan line, says Rebecca. Thank you, Rebecca, for pointing that out. Now, I've always been rather jealous of Brent doing this. I don't know, I guess he just unplugged himself, but now I can take questions while we sit like this, which is rather fun. Now the Mlwamachi drainage line, which is this vast river system that we're driving on now, is of course, I thought I saw something through there, but I didn't. It is of course dry just about all the time until we have probably about 600 millimeters of rain. Now 600 millimeters of rain is 24 inches, and if we have 24 inches in one go, I think what you'll find, there's a squirrel there. I can't stop though because I don't have my foot on the brake. 24 inches will result in this thing flowing. But if you look at it, it's quite an extensive river, and I imagine that many years ago it probably flowed all the time. But when I say many years ago, I'm thinking probably upwards of 1,000 years ago. That would have cut the Mlwamachi drainage into this area. But probably for at least the last 1,000 years or so, I suspect it's been dry like it is now. There is a brown-hooded kingfisher just up ahead. Let's see if we can get a shot of it. It's just in here, and I think this is the same brown-hooded kingfisher that I've seen here now 3 or 4 times. There it goes. We're going to get a nice shot of it now. I'm just going to ease past this great gory bush. There it is, VM, can you see it? It's just on this sweet thorn tree there, not sweet thorn. Acacia robusta is not sweet thorn. There it is. The brown-hooded kingfisher. Now, the font of all Twitter knowledge, Judy H. Now, I said the other day that they're called the halcyon kingfishers because they have that halcyon blue color. And Judy H. very kindly pointed out to me in a very gentle fashion, I must say, that in fact the halcyon means kingfisher, and so that the blue actually gets that color blue that you saw, that flash, that kind of blue is called halcyon after the bird, not the other way around. So thank you for that, Judy H. again. I think we can move a little bit faster now, especially as the car is now not performing as it should have. The last time I did that, everybody, we were driving along here with VM, and it was just past this spot here. And VM said, I think you should hold the wheel. So I said, why? The car drives itself. Watch. With which we fell into a hole and became stuck, and we had to be towed out. So I'm going to be careful of this spot as we go through here. Watch your heads, everyone. Duck down. There we go. And it was into that hole on the left there that we fell. Needless to say, VM was deeply unimpressed with me. I cannot blame him. Yes, exactly. James Duncan, you say once it fills up from a flash flood, this water, or this river, how long will it take to recede? Less than a few hours. It'll flow probably for a maximum of maybe 2 hours during a massive deluge. Otherwise, it will maybe trickle a little bit and then it will stop. So within hours, it will stop. The catchment, of course, is tiny. So the catchment for the area is basically Buffelshoek. Buffelshoek, I suppose you could describe it as having a ridge running along the middle of it, that's the reserve to the north of us, everyone. And there are a few little sort of drainages that drain into this one, but it's not a big catchment area. So, because the catchment is so small, it will never flow for a very long time. Sorry everybody, I know there's a bit of noise from the microphone. It is now grinding into the front of my head, which will probably result in my going mad fairly soon. too much technology on my face. Okay, now, the other thing we saw here 2 days ago was a barred owl. A tiny little barred owlet in one of these trees. And it was very, very kind to us by sitting and showing itself. So let's just keep an eye out as we go past. I'm sure you can all imagine how this must have been a rather more verdant area at one stage, given all the big trees that are growing here. Doesn't mean that there's water, of course, underneath the ground. Here more than there is in other places. Now, Monique in London, you've been watching for almost a year, you say, and you say, are all these drainage lines natural? They are, absolutely. They're completely natural, and they're just very ancient. This landscape that we're on now, I forget the exact sort of age of it, but it's very, very old. And there hasn't been volcanic activity in this area for many, many millennia, and that means that the soil is very poor. It also means that these rivers are ancient watercourses. They're not new in the slightest. And so they are not largely dry. VM, your best friend is just up ahead. Your best ever friend. We saw him this morning and he was so pleased to see you that he is still in the same place. Hello Mohammed in Doha. Nice to hear from you, and obviously a good question coming all the way from the desert there. You say, when was the last flood in this area? Serious flood? Well, I think about 2 or 3 years ago actually there was a fairly serious flood in the Sabi Sands. There's VM's best friend, everybody. His name is Gandalf the giraffe. It's not really, I just made that up. He quite likes it though, you see that way he looked at us there, VM. He's a rather fine fellow, but he's been standing around here all day long, and I suspect that he's been eating on the fruits of the jackalberry tree. Excuse the sound, everyone. I'm just trying to fix the microphone. There we go, that's better. Ah, yes. So nice when it doesn't drill into your skull, VM. Now, VM's favourite animal is the giraffe because you can see what it's doing. It's standing there very statuesquely, and it makes VM bored. He feels that a giraffe should only be viewed if it's being eaten by something. There we go. He didn't like that, VM. He's in full charge now. You see that?
You make him angry.
Shall I start the engine in case he comes? Now you can sit, everybody, with a giraffe like this. If you sit on the ground and move the car away, he will eventually come closer and closer to you. In fact, I'm going to try something. If he moves away, which he probably will, but let's just see what he does. Because I have this rather remarkable earpiece in my ear, let me just quickly step out of the vehicle, very quietly, and I'm going to sit on the floor, and let's see if he comes any closer at all. You can see him watching, and I need to get probably just about a meter or so closer than I am now, by pretending to be disinterested in him. And then what I will do is just sit down quietly on the ground and let's see what he does. And you can continue to ask me questions because I have this ridiculous thing in my ear. Alternatively, he might just move off. now, I'm afraid. Is she talking to me? You're losing my mic. Okay, that was a failed experiment, everyone. Sorry about that. I promise you it does work though. You can sit there. I think it's probably the vehicle. But if you got out and sat there in the middle of the clearing, he would eventually come up and say hello. Okay, let us move along. I was kind of hoping to find Karula along here somewhere, or at least evidence of her. I think she's to the south of us though, in Little Gowrie. Oh dear, my microphone is sticking out the side of my hat. While I try and fix my technology, let's head across to Brent and get an update from him.
So we're in the area where we lost that Nkuma lioness and the cubs. I'm just going to sit quietly, and I'm hoping to hear that wonderful lion cub noise. Ow, ow, ow. And you're just going to go, oh, 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 oh. No, we're not going to do that though. Oh, she has chosen an exquisitely difficult place to get into. I thought I heard something there, Brian. Maybe it's my wishful imagination. I think it might have been my wishful imagination. I'm going to have to follow up on it anyway. But Randall's wondering what age the lion cubs join the hunt in. Now, Randall, that is completely... well, they actually probably only start participating actively in the hunt from about 2. But they're on hunts from probably about 6 months off, and they'll just sit back and watch. Okay. I'm trying to see if there is a possibility of getting a sneak into that thicket from this side. We tried from the other side this morning. We had no luck. Maybe through here, Brian. What do you think? I think it's worth a try. I'm not 100% sure. As I said, it might be. That didn't sound good. Thought one of my plugs popped, but there's a nice milkberry tree just there. And if I was a lioness, that's a great place to put the cubs. And we didn't get any here this morning. We came out a little bit higher, and I just think I heard that ow, ever so faintly. Through here, and then she went down, and there's a perfect little thicket. But while we look for sneaky lions, James has got another sneaky creature.
Not sure how sneaky he is, but he's quite splendid there. Sitting there eating his creeper. You see how he's selecting a creeper out of the bush? That's a nyala for those of you who are perhaps new viewers. Beautiful male nyala. And he's very close to us. He's only about probably 5 meters away, which is about 17 feet or so. 6.6 meters. Thank you very much for that, VM. I'm sorry I was wrong. I hope you'll forgive me. That's quite a nice shot, VM. I took an amazing photograph. You'll be so amazed, you will. Probably not. And he's definitely selecting for a specific creeper that seems to be growing in that leadwood tree there. Let's move around the corner. Can you still see him enough? No, let's move around the corner a little bit here. quite interested in what he's eating here, because he looked slightly like he was grazing. Now, Nyala are not supposed to graze. No, he's not grazing. He's taking the shoots off a potato bush. So you've all heard of a potato bush, I'm sure. It is obviously not really potatoes, but it has flowers that smell like cooking potatoes. And what he's eating there are the leaves and the buds. And if you look at the sticks all around where he's been eating, you can see that clearly he wasn't the first to have a go at those things. Still looks in relatively okay nick. You know, I was expecting by this time of the year that we'd have animals dropping dead all over the place from the dire effects of the lack of water, but they actually seem to be doing okay. Right. 1 second. There we are. Okay, we can go now. There's some impala. They too are doing much as the Nyala was, trying to find a bit of grazing and browsing. There on the top. And the soothing sound of an aeroplane overhead. We've been asked to stay here a few more minutes. Okay, let's see if we can find something behind us. Oh, very nice, VM. That is a Cessna Caravan, everybody. Well done, VM, very nice. Beautiful shot of the Cessna Caravan. Very good plane if you happen to be in the bush, everyone, because it lands on just about no space at all. There is our Nyala, who's now very suspicious. He's realized that we're looking at him, and now he's very suspicious. I don't know if you saw the way he ran there, how he flicked his head back and tossed his horns at an angle that meant that he didn't hit them on the trees. What that does, of course, is makes it difficult to see where on earth he's running. And it's one of the reasons we think that kudu bulls live for possibly as much as half the length of time that kudu cows live. Kudu, of course, also have those long spiraled horns. Rebecca, I'm afraid there is nothing left here to look at. We're going to have to carry on. We'll try and find something else. Hello, Greg. You've obviously been sitting there watching, sitting, what, 6.6 meters away from a Nyala there, and a good question from you about, does the fact that they become habituated to us perhaps make them vulnerable to hunters if they range out of the reserve? The short answer would be yes, it would, but they can't range out of the reserve because there are fences everywhere. Where they do perhaps sometimes sneak under or over the fence on the western boundary of the Kruger Park, yes, I suppose if you were to try and hunt them from a vehicle, then they would become susceptible to it, but on foot, no. I mean, on foot, you know, you still can't get anywhere near these animals. They still see us as a threat. But it is interesting, once you do get into an area where there is hunting, animals will not let you come anywhere near the vehicle. So at least, well, they won't come anywhere near the vehicle. They become very nervous very quickly. I've waffled enough because Brent has found something very small and very special.
So it wasn't wishful thinking. I did hear those little cub growls as they were suckling, and Mom has chosen that exact spot where I said, oh, let's just have a look. I'm feeling lucky there. If I was a lioness, this is where I'd keep my cubs. And there we are, the three little monsters. Oh, Mom's tail is the best toy in the world. Got it, I got it. They're just too sweet. I hope you guys are getting some fantastic screenshots. I know it's through the bush, but this is the only spot we can actually see them from. Oh. So these guys are about 8 or 9 weeks old. They're at about the age they might be introduced to the pride. And wouldn't it be absolutely spectacular and so special if we were able to be witness to that? Well, if you can't get mom's tail, sibling's tail will do. Look at it. Got him. Oh no, he escaped. Well, I think we've got a brave little one coming to investigate us. So actually coming quite a lot closer to us. They are getting to that age where they're going to start getting more brave. Sorry, I know the other little one to the back. It slipped off mom and literally landed in the strangest little position. Here we go, it's still there. Mom's having a look now because it made a bit of a funny noise, but it was after mom's tail. Gotta have some sibling playing at the moment. You can see they're much more mobile than they were when they were at Buffalo's Hook waterhole, where they were barely mobile at all. But they're still not quite the most coordinated little kitties just yet. About the size of a domestic house cat, possibly a little bit heavier. Oh, let's go save them. What's going on down there? One's gone back to mom. There we go, there's that sound I heard. Now, I know you guys have heard me say this many times, but your ears are quite often the best things at finding animals in the bush. Oh. Bow. Got stuck under mom's foot, got very upset. So they're very active when mom's around, even though mom's not. Now, when mom leaves them, they literally are so completely dead still. And you can see still those wonderful little cub spots on their head help break out their outline when they're lying in a thicket. See, that one's got some quite prominent spots. Well, all of them do, but two in particular, very prominent spots on their back. They are just the sweetest. You can see what I say, not the most coordinated just yet. Lots of slipping and tripping. Well, thanks very much, Andreen. Andreen says you can always count on Brent and Brian to find these adorable little Kahuma cubs. Now, I couldn't think of a better way to start a sunset safari, and I'm definitely not going to move much at all. Of course, the mystery of where the rest of the Nkahuma pride is remains a mystery. I still think they could be in the area. You see, I don't know if you can actually see, but we're being stalked by one of them. He's very curious. He's coming much closer to us. He's actually climbing the hill. I don't know if you're going to be able to see him, Brian. He's literally in this stuff coming right up towards us. I mean, I don't know if you're going to be able to see him from where you are. Or her. But definitely a bit brave. More, there we go, you can just get the movement. More brave than the other two. But it could lead to more bravery from the others. Or if your brother or sister does it, you sort of have to. Hi, Tula Ann, who's 4 years old. And Tula Ann's wondering, does it hurt Mom when they bite her tail? A little bit, Tula Ann. They're still quite young, but when they get bigger, it will definitely hurt. And Mom will sometimes shout at them if they bite her tail too much. But a lioness's tail is a lion cub's favorite toy. Nope. They're tucking a stick. So Donna's wondering if Mom has a cut on her back foot. I can't really see from where I'm sitting, Donna. I won't see Brian. Can have a look with the camera. And even if there is a little scratch or a cut, it's nothing serious. We saw her this morning. She was walking completely fine. And lions always have cuts and scratches on them. The nature of being a lion. Oh, we got another new toy, and I'm bored of that toy. So they need to dispel all their energy when Mom's here. So when Mom leaves, they're not going to be able to move at all. Look at that. Just having the best old time. So at the moment they've still got milk teeth. They'll lose those teeth at about 6 months old. And those milk teeth are really sharp, like little needles. So you can imagine it can be quite powerful, especially as they get a bit bigger than this. Sometimes just wonderful to just sit quietly and observe these incredible little creatures. Look at that. Oh, there we go. Oh, I'm hungry again. I was playing, but then I saw that. I just got to be on the Game Drive comms for a second. And while we sit here with these glorious little cubs, and we've got a quick surprise for you on foot.
Well, thank you very much, Brent. It's been a long time since I've been on foot. Hello, and well, hello to everybody. As welcome to myself and to Xander, who we've got on camera operations today. And we're on foot. We're on the bushwalk this afternoon, and that's what we're going to be doing for a couple of minutes, a couple of hours. Let's see how we go. But we are walking around out here just outside of camp. We have decided to come and check what is happening at this side of Djuma Private Game Reserve. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, we are on foot. I don't have any cars around us. We are doing absolutely I wouldn't like to say that we are acting as bait, although sometimes you do feel like we are bait at the moment. But no, we don't have any vehicles, we don't have any support of any kind. We are walking around in Djuma, literally in the same area that James and Brent are driving around in. And we are here to show you all the little bitty things and hopefully stay out of the mouths of anything that's big and dangerous. For myself personally, I really enjoy getting my head into bushes like this and seeing exactly what makes them tick on the inside over here. Unlike Brent, our esteemed colleague who really enjoys the chase of the cats, I really don't enjoy that at all, and thank goodness that we've got such a variety to offer you on these shows. Now, I pride myself in being able to show you something of interest at almost any bush that we stop at, and this one is no exception, although not growing. Here we've got a piece of buffalo thorn that has been stuck in this bush. It's this dead twig that you're looking at the moment, and one of my greatest mentors and one of my greatest friends, in actual fact, my very first tracker I ever worked at was a dear gentleman called Richard Nduban, and he imparted some of his bush law knowledge about this tree. As you can see, this is the end where it grew from, and this is the end where it's going to, and he likened it to a person's journey through life. He says, as you get older, as you move along your journey, you are faced with decisions in your life represented by the nodes on this branch. And it would be wise to look at the mistakes you made in the past in order to avoid making the same mistakes in the future. And as you can see, this buffalo thorn quite aptly represents that little life lesson. When you get to a decision in life, avoid the mistakes you made in the past to avoid the mistake. Look at the mistakes you made in the past to avoid the mistakes you make in the future. Excuse me, a bit rusty after a few days not being in front of a camera and spoiling myself there. So yeah, that's the buffalo thorn. There are many other uses for this particular tree. I must be honest with you. It's called the tree of life. It's used in burial ceremonies amongst the local Shangaan. And it depends on who you speak to, but they'll literally take a live branch like this and travel when somebody has died away from their ancestral kraals or ancestral settlements. They'll travel with a branch of this tree to where they died, wave the tree over the place where they died, perform a little bit of a prayer. They believe that it captures that person's spirit. They then bring the branch with the spirit back to their ancestral kraal and bury it, plant it. There's a variety of different stories, but I like to believe that they bury that person, and that person is then laid at rest in the ancestral lands, and the people then have access to that spirit's memories or that spirit's guidance as they go forward, not forgetting that there's a whole range of different sort of religions and beliefs out here in Africa. Although Christianity seems to be growing in pace, there are some of those that still stick to the old ways, most definitely. And this is one of the trees that they used for that. The leaves are also quite tasty, very high in protein, and even we can digest some of that protein, leaf protein, similar to soya protein. From these leaves, they're good to eat as a type of spinach or salad. Personally, I think they taste about as bad as what spinach does, so they're not on my list of top 10 things to eat out here. But nevertheless, they can allow you some nourishment. And things like kudu and giraffe and elephant really enjoy browsing this tree. So a really important tree out here. And I think that's probably why this bush found itself to basically be fawning here. I think what happened was an elephant took a bite out of this branch and then discarded the bush. But on that note, we are going back to Brent, who's got some fuzzy wuzzies for you.
So they're still being incredibly cute and incredibly active. Annoying mom, chewing on each other's tails. There's one who's taken a great interest in us. So you can see there's two there, but there's one in that thicket who seems to be very, very interested in us. I can just see his little eyes watching us. There, you can just see a bit of movement. Oh, he's found something more entertaining than us now. Oh. The other two decided it's time to eat again. Now let's see if the third becomes jealous and wants to go eat, but he's still watching us. I'll show you quickly what I can just make out through the bushes as he stares at us intently. Hey, little monster. Could be, I know James and Brian, you're saying there's a definitely one male, one female.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're not sure the third. I think the one who's... Sorry, my camera nearly fell. That was the quick movement there. The one who's coming closest to us, I think it's probably a young male. Not to say there might not be two. But I think just from his behavior, a little bit more brazen, a little bit braver. Going back now. Decided, well, can't let the other two have all the milk. Oh. Ginny's wondering, do the lioness, when they have babies, sleep soundly? Or do they keep one ear open? Ginny, they keep one ear open at all times. It's one of the things about living out here in the bush. You need to be alert. And she's probably slightly more alert when she's with the little cubs. Oh, little complaint going on there. Now it's going to get interesting if the third decides it's hungry again, which it looks like is happening. Oh, look at those ears go back. Just as if it would on a kill. Ears go back, showing aggression even at this young age. Look at those ears. There we go. Mom will make space for you. Like a splattered lion cub between her legs. Doesn't look very comfortable. So, looking at these tiny little cubs that are about 8-9 weeks old now, I wonder if anyone out there knows how much a lion cub weighs at birth. So if you know how much a lion cub weighs at birth, of course this is an average, let us know by using the hashtag SafariLIVE on Twitter, or send us an email, questions@wildearth.tv. What is the weight of a lion cub at birth? Now, Haley's wondering about lion dispersal, and particularly female lion dispersal. So, the little lionesses, or future lionesses, little female cubs at the moment, when they become adults and of mating age, will they be allowed to mate? Must they go start their own pride, a new pride, or must they stay with this pride? Now, lions are quite different, in if you compare it to hyenas or whatnot. The genetic strength of the lions is held within the lionesses. So they will stay with their natal pride. The only time you'll have a splitting of a pride is if it gets too big. So if you've got 40 lions, it's difficult to feed them, so they might split into 2 or 3 prides. But normally the females will stay with their natal pride. The males will disperse away from their pride of birth, but the females will stay with their natal pride, and the reason for this is the males change. So there's new genetics coming in, so it's unlikely they're going to have to mate with their fathers or brothers. It does happen, and inbreeding in lions is not uncommon, but it doesn't have that much of an adverse effect as long as it doesn't happen for too many generations in a row. Very peaceful scene. Of course, there's got to be a grey go-away bird somewhere to make a noise. Always. Listen to the beautiful silence of the bush. Go on. Okay, we're going to sit here, see what happens with these little delectable monsters. So excited to have found them, and I can't think of anywhere I'd rather be right now. But you might want to go join Steph on foot.
And I feel almost exactly the opposite. I'm quite jealous that you got to see those lion cubs. I mean, how awesome is that? But from one of the small fuzzy wuzzies, definitely one of the big five, to one of the biggest things out here in Djuma. I'm not joking when I think that the termite mound I'm standing next to now is probably the biggest termite mound that we have at Djuma. Have a look at this giant mound of what looks like sand, and you wouldn't be wrong in thinking that that's all it was. It's basically mud with a little bit of saliva and then a bunch of cellulose that's been stuck together grain by grain by macrotermes, which is a termite that grows no bigger than that. Can you believe this giant of a home has grown up from little pieces of sand being joined together with spit? But have a look at what is truly spectacular about this particular termite mound. There's a full-grown dead tree on top of the termite mound. Now, it didn't get placed there by a tornado or a hurricane or a freak wave or any other number of natural disasters. That tree simply was seeded on top of this termite mound, grew to a massive size. As you can see, it's quite a ginormous tree, and then died from some reason, probably fungus, and fell over. And the termite mound has just carried on right here. I'm going to take a bit of a step. So let's go from the base. I'll show you exactly how big this thing is. My steps are roughly about a yard to a meter. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, probably 11 and a half. 12, and now I'm standing on the top of this termite mound. I mean, have a look at how massive this particular termite mound is. Easily, I think, if you take the whole circumference of this termite mound into consideration, and the fact that this is really only about 10%, similar to an iceberg, of the total volume of this particular termite mound. This goes down to the water table and will spread out many, many dozens of yards in every direction and allow termites to come out, grab wood and take it down into this termite mound, which is really just a big air conditioner, really. Down to a fungus garden, they grow fungus on plant material and then they digest the fungus, and that's how they feed themselves. They're farmers. But massive, really massive termite mounds like this also have animals that live inside of it. Now, when this tree fell over, it probably weakened the termite mound a little bit. And what's happened is right here, underneath where I'm standing at the moment, something has excavated it. Now, I know from a story I'm going to tell you in a little bit that there are a family of warthog that live inside of here, but any number of things could live in here, from snakes to civets to hyena. Leopard will have their babies in termite, in holes in termite mounds like this. Steenbuck, mongoose, honey badger. I could list a dozen of them. My brain is running out of things to say about how many things actually live inside here, but suffice it to say, quite a lot. Now, quite a funny story that happened right here is myself and Brian were returning from a walk, and there was a family of warthogs that was living inside this particular hole. We didn't see them. We were coming from this way, down this pathway. And when we got to this bush, the warthogs that were living inside that hole decided that we were way, way, way too close and came rushing out of this hole. But now, because of this termite mound here, this baby one, and this bush, I couldn't see what was coming out of this hole. And I must be honest with you, it sounded like a freight train, it sounded like an ocean liner. You know, I'm just trying to make things big over here, but it was actually just 5 little warthogs this big that came running out here. Gave me such a fright. Brian went into instant sprint mode. I had to load my rifle. It's only the second time at Djuma in an entire year. In those days, we were still carrying a rifle. I had to load my rifle, thinking I was going to have to use it to escape some traumatic event. And the one warthog ran this way, and the other warthogs ran that way, and left Brian and I red-faced with shame. At my embarrassment, being scared from a warthog, believe it or not. But don't you think that that's a fantastic thing? A titanic termite mound with a dead tree on it that grew to maturity and then died and then fell over and now is the home of any number of animals. And I know it's still active because the slopes are bare. Similar to a volcano that is constantly shifting the sand at the surface through whatever, termite mounds are exactly the same. The surface of a termite mound that's still active is constantly shifting, and that means that nothing can really germinate there. There are things that obviously germinate on termite mounds. This one does have some vegetation, but the vast majority of the termite mound is this open, bare patches of sand, and that's because they build a little bit here and they build a little bit there, and then this one goes, and the animals come in and flatten it. And the termite mound gets exponentially bigger over the, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say centuries that it stays active for. There's some speculation as to exactly what happens in a massive termite mound like this. Some people think that it's a hereditary line of a dynasty, for lack of a better word, I suppose, of termites that all have a similar genetic code, in other words, a family, that just sort of has a hereditary queen every now and again. Queens in this particular termite family last anywhere from 10 to 15 years, depending on the reference material you read. So every 15 years there'd be a new queen, and the termite mound will get bigger and bigger over the centuries. Others believe that the termite mound is just such a perfect place for termites to expand into, that a colony will die and then it'll get recolonized by another termite colony carrying a different genetic code, and that stops inbreeding amongst the local termites and keeps the genetic material fresh. I don't quite know which one I like to believe. I do believe, as is evidenced by this tree, that termite mounds can be many hundreds of years old. What tree that is, I'm not quite sure, but it's definitely a hardwood tree. And I would say that this is probably in the region of about 200 or 300 years old, this particular termite mound. As to exactly how it got there, who knows. But someone who definitely isn't 200 or 300 years old, even though sometimes he may look it, is Mr. James Henry, who's waiting to give you an update on what he's been busy with. See you later.
Everybody, we have a very special sighting here. I'm not sure if the mother's here. These are the stick. We just came down here hoping to see if they were here, and it would seem that they are. They're in this little water depression here, but I think they're playing on their own. I'm not sure if their mother's there. In fact, I'm pretty sure she isn't. So we're just going to be very, very careful about it. I'm just going to go up onto the top of the water. No, I'm not. I'm going to go down. In fact, we can stop right here. We don't need to go any closer with this giant lens we have. So there they are. There we are. Now, I don't know if you noticed this, everyone, but these chaps do not seem to be in a particularly good way. Viam, I think you described them as street children, didn't you, compared with the cubs that you've been looking at. This is odd. We don't really know why, but to say perhaps their mother is not able to catch as much food as the Nkuhuma lionesses are managing to catch, and therefore their milk is possibly a little poorer. So you can see they are looking a little bit scraggly. They have been here for some time. They're very vulnerable out here on their own. Not sure where Mum is or why she isn't here. Right, Brent has to leave the sighting where he is, everyone, so let's quickly pop across back to him and get an idea of what his plans are going to be. We'll stay here for a little bit. I don't think we'll be here the whole afternoon, though.
So we're going to spend the last few minutes with these glorious little cubs. Unfortunately, the only spot you can see them from is exactly where we're sitting. And there's no other area for a car to get in. So we're going to enjoy our last moments with the most precious little Nkuhumas. And then we go back onto Mom's tail, always the best toy. And the lion cubs are adept at making everything a toy. Elephant tongue, a stick, a bone, a horn, an ear, a brother, a sister, a cousin, a mother or an aunt. Nice to be in a big family. It's going to be very interesting. We're going to be very, very, very lucky to have watched them from this age. And we're going to be, as I said, very lucky to have watched them from this age all the way up to as they get bigger, because you're going to see how more agile and how more playful they are going to be able to get. So well done to James, Elaine and Mimi, who've got that spot on. A lion at birth can weigh from 3 pounds to 4.6 pounds. So very little. Go ahead. Sorry, I'm just on the game drive. About halfway between Yellow Road North Junction and Gropan itself. If you keep driving on Gropan, I'll see your vehicle and then I'll make space. Okay, so unfortunately we are going to have to let someone else enjoy these wonderful little tykes. Oh, Brian, look what I spotted. I don't know if I spotted a flower, or almost a flower. Is it too close?
It might be. Let me see. No.
There we go. A narrow-leaved calancho about to flower, our only wintering flowering plant. Those flowers haven't quite opened yet, but let's have a last look at the cubs, because I can hear the car coming. If you look down to your east, you should see me. Just give me a minute and I'll move out. Okay, so there we go. Okay. We're going to have to leave and I'm going to have to do some driving to get out of here. So let's go back to James on the plains of the cheetah.
Now, chaps, these guys are rather scruffy in comparison with what we're looking at. I think it's half because they're lying in this kind of mud here, but I have to tell you, it's odd to me. I think it's quite odd that they're here. There are 3 of them there. We know that there are 8 in the pride, but where the rest of the pride is, I don't know. I've just spotted the rest of the cubs. They're on the termite mound there. You see that tawny little thing there underneath the... Can you see them, Vim? Just zoom straight in there, up a bit, middle of screen, down a bit. There, that's them there. You can see them there in the middle of the screen. Now, let's hope those ones are a bit better. Maybe there's an adult there. But it's quite interesting that these ones are here in the open on their own. I find it very strange. Anyway, and Alice, you say, why would the Stick's mother leave them out in the open? I'm not sure that she did. She may have left them on their termite mound. They may have got bored or thirsty or, I don't know, and come out here. But she could have left them here. They've been around here. I think Jamie had them here about 2 days ago, 3 days ago. So I'm not really sure. But they're sleeping very soundly, the two of them. And Denise, you want to know if they're safe in such an open space. No, they're not. They most certainly are not safe. They are easy to catch. If a hyena came past here, it would kill them in seconds. If a bird of prey saw them here, it might kill them. If a jackal came past, it would kill them. If a buffalo came past, it would kill them. So they are inescapably unsafe. So I find it rather strange. I mean, it's seriously tempting to pick them up and go and put them with the others. Let's go and have a look at the others, everyone. I mean, these guys are not disturbed by us. I'm slightly disturbed by them, though, because they just don't look very good, do they? They could well, as often happens, it's not unusual for lions and lion cubs to be, well, to struggle a little bit when they're born. And like, even with the adults, if they don't eat all the time, then they start to look very skinny and very quickly. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're in bad health. Just going to drive around this termite mound here. There's a pile of I'm just going to try and get up here, everyone. See, Mum isn't there. I don't see any evidence of a mother. Hello, Riker. You say the lions abandon cubs sometimes. They do, but only if they're very ill. Now, I might have to get on the radio, everyone. We're not going to be here for long, so just enjoy this unbelievable sighting there of the little one staring at us. Now, those ones are a little bit older. Some of those are older. I'm just going to quickly get on the radio. Stations, I've located the others on a termite mound to the eastern side of the dam wall. There's still no mother here, so I won't be here for long. Does anyone else want to move in here? Yeah, eastern side of the dam is a big termite mound there on that. Isn't that sweet? Look at them there. These ones look a bit better, don't you think, Liam? I think these eggs look a little bit better. They're not, certainly not quite as spectacular, the Inkahumas. Janet, you say they look like they've got some infection, some kind of mange or perhaps a fungus on their ears. Janet, I don't think it's that. You know what I think it is? I see what you mean, but I actually think it's... I'm just looking at the one at the back there. They might. I also think there's quite a lot of mud and that black dust from the bottom of the dam that's covering bits and pieces of them. But those ears look all right to me. Yeah, and apparently they had crusty black ears. Jamie saw them. Yeah, I see exactly what you mean. They definitely are not exactly furry on the back there. You know what I think's happened, everyone? And indeed, in fact, I'm looking at that youngster. One of the youngsters got a bit of mange on the bottom of the foot. I think what's happened is that these 3 lionesses have all given birth, and it's actually just too much for them to look after them all. They might succeed in doing it, but I think that's why there's such a kind of why they don't look great, why there's probably a little bit of disease brought on by the fact that they don't have enough to eat. And I think that's probably what's happened. 6 lionesses, only 3 of them, 8 cubs. There are 8 cubs in the Nkuhuma pride now, but there are 5 lionesses. Now that's not to say that these ones are not going to survive, but I think it's going to be difficult, especially seeing the ones out in the open there. That's a little worrying, I must say. I'm going to move slightly forward, see if we can get a little bit of a better view. That's slightly better for you, Vim. You can see much older than the ones you've been looking at. Well, much older. Now, Andrew is driving around here and he says that he can hear lions contact calling to the south of where we are now. Oh, that's quite nice. In other words, it could be the mothers coming back. Isn't that sweet? Look at that. I'm just listening to the radio. It sounds like the adults might be coming this way, which is quite nice. Yeah, make your way straight in. Definitely, I think probably 2 sightings here. One in the dam and one quite far to the east. On the east. Oh, and just above them, Viam, I don't know if you can see it, there's a rattling cisticola. And he's obviously very silent. He's just hopping about in the bushes above there. Oh, he's gone. Sorry about that. So we're not going to be here for too long, everyone. So get your questions in if you want to turn them, if you want to ask us anything. Renee, you're wondering if they use mud to deter mosquitoes and flies. No, they don't, you know. They do far more cleaning of themselves. And that one is fastidiously cleaning. I think it's because he's itchy. I think his skin is probably not in a particularly good way. The other 2 just lying in an old elephant footprint there. I'm afraid it's quite difficult for me to put too much of a positive spin on this. They don't look great, but the positive is that they haven't looked great for a while and they're still fine. You know, they're still living, they're okay. The mothers are obviously not too far from here. If Andrew can hear them contact calling each other. Interesting, Linda, you say that these lions be suffering from fly bites on their ears, similar to what happens to dogs. Linda, look, I suppose it's possible. I just think because we're in winter, the number of flies that are around is relatively few. And so, no, I don't think that this is fly bites. And if you look, and that one that is on the left there of your screen, just if we go a little bit left, I don't know if you can see there. Yeah, look at that ear there. That's definitely some kind of infection. You can see it's ridged and bobbled and just not particularly healthy. I don't know how many of you have watched Game of Thrones, but it looks like that grey scale that the characters get in that show. Alexa, a difficult question from you, and you're not going to like the answer. You say, how bad do they have to get before we'll step in and help? And the answer is we won't, Alexa. Lions are not, well, they're certainly threatened around the world, but they're not endangered. We would be almost completely unable to reintroduce them to an area like this. So were we to rescue them, they would almost certainly end up in some kind of center where they were caged, or certainly in very small enclosures. And so we don't rescue them, Alexa. And it's sometimes very difficult to watch because only 1 in 10 or so male lions gets to adulthood, or to sort of take a territory, and probably 3 or 4 in 10 of the females, so not many. And obviously, I mean, these things you could probably quite successfully raise these ones from baby, but they eventually, their wildness is not, it never leaves them. And so adult lions you can't have around human beings. Go ahead, Andrew. I'm just listening to the radio, everyone. Copy, thanks. So he's got sounds of the females heading south towards Mala Mala. He's going to try and see if maybe she's hunting. I'm afraid I've missed the name there, but a good question about why these ones there, why are the other 5 seemingly on the termite mound? How is it that they've ended up there on the ground? Were they chased there? I don't think they were chased there. I think it was probably uncomfortable on the mound. It's certainly, I mean, you can see there's hardly a lot of space there. And so I wonder if those ones just didn't wander down there. And you can see where they would have walked. Now let's sit here another 5 minutes or so, and I find this quite distressing, I must say. They might be fine though. I'm probably being melodramatic. A comment from Eggsy, who says these are his favourite lines. Eggsy, by the way, who is one of our cameramen / editors, and he's obviously watching the final control, and he says these are his favourite lines, and they're going to grow up to be real tough. He actually used the term badass, of course. I hope you're right, Eggsy, and you may well be right. It all looks rather sad at the moment. Very nice comment from Laura in Pennsylvania. You say they don't look great now, but when Mum's around, they leap around, they've got plenty of energy. Well, that's good to hear. I haven't seen these, I've just met with these cubs. And so I'm glad to hear that when their mother is around that they behave in a slightly more cheerful fashion. But there's definitely some kind of infection running through this entire group. Funny little thing lying on his back. Obviously itchy, scraggly thing. Shame. Makes you want to pick him up and give him a scratch, doesn't it, Liam? Or a bath. Good meal. Poor little fellow. Found himself a nice little elephant footprint to lie in there so that he can comfortably lie on his back. The other two did move, by the way. They stuck their heads up and looked around, then they went back to sleep. Yeah, let's give it another 2 or 3 minutes and then we're going to pull out, I'm afraid. See what else we can see. I just find this quite difficult to watch. And Kitty Kitty Bang Bang, good question from you. So would baboons go after these cubs? Yeah, definitely they would. Baboons would go after them. It's difficult to think of many animals that wouldn't go after them. Elephants would go after them. Elephants wouldn't tolerate having little lion cubs there. If there was water anywhere near here or sufficient grazing, well, you'd find the elephants would probably smack them as well. So those three are in a seriously stupid position. These guys, obviously, I mean, Andrew drove past these chaps and didn't see them. That's not a aspersion on Andrew, but, you know, he didn't have the benefit of being able to sit and look around. So these guys are relatively safe up here on the termite mound. But those three are in... I mean, it's difficult to think of a place where they would be in more danger. They don't know that, obviously. But, as always, they may well be absolutely fine. Now, Monique, I'm not sure that there's an easy answer to your question. You say, if the mothers do return, how long will they leave them for the next time they leave? Or does it depend on what they catch? I'm beginning to wonder whether it isn't a rather individual thing, where some mothers are more attentive than others, and some will therefore leave more sort of viable offspring than others. And I think sometimes the pride is a little neglectful. But yes, it certainly will have to do with whether they kill or not. The mother can come back, though. I mean, she will lactate. She'll have to be seriously nutritionally compromised for her not to be lactating. I guess it could get to the point where she has to eat or she will not produce any milk at all, but I'm not sure that she would consciously come to that awareness. So I suspect that, you know, I guess the longest she might be away is about 48 hours, maybe. I don't know how long these chaps have been sitting here on their own. It really does make you want to go over there and give them a bit of a cuddle. Looking at us now. Yeah, these chaps are just fast asleep now. The sun has hit them on the termite mound. They're fast asleep. Not even moving. Vernie, a nice one about cubs and training and how much sort of training they get before they go independent. Well, it kind of happens during the course of normal life. They'll start moving with the pride at around, well, I mean, probably around 6 months or so. They'll be hanging behind the pride during a hunt. And by a year old, they're making contribution to the hunt. And by the time they're 2 years old, of course, they're fully fledged members of the pride, males and females. And so I guess it's about an 18-month process during which they learn to make a contribution to the hunt. They will make a mess of many hunts before they're able to genuinely contribute. And I suspect quite strongly, as it is with human beings, some are talented and some not so talented. All right, we're going to leave these lines, everybody. Let's go across to Brent, get an update from him, and I'll see you probably on the clearings of cheetah plains.
So we've got some lazy little zebra foals basking in the afternoon sun while the adults feed. There's two of them. Oh, up. There we go. Still looking okay. Now, remember, with zebras, because of their digestive system, it's very difficult to see when they're losing condition. Now, what you want to look for is if their mane starts falling over, it means they're generally not in the best condition. So far, I haven't seen that with any of the zebras yet. Not to say we won't before the end of the dry season. Hello. I love the fluffy rumps on little zebras. They are quite cute. Now we should start seeing quite a few more zebra as the water dries up everywhere else. Sorry, Brian, moving around a bit much. Now, as I said, as it gets drier, there's limited water available. We'll start seeing more and more zebra coming through. They're going to migrate through from western Kruger, southern Manuletti. And they're bulk grazers, so they're not fussy about what they eat. But it has to be grass. There's still a little bit of green flush left after that rain about 10 days, 2 weeks ago. They are taking advantage of that. As you can see, zebras always look quite rotund, and they're hind gut fermenters. And that's why if you look at a zebra dung, it's not as broken up as the rest of the ruminants. Now, unfortunately, those zebras look like they might disappear into torchwood over the crest. But we will stay with them as long as we can. At this time of the day, they're probably going to be heading towards a waterhole, still feeding as they move. Now, depending on where zebras are feeding, they'll either drink in the middle of the day, but where we are at the moment, there's no water close enough for them to have drunk in the middle of the day. So they're probably heading towards a waterhole in Buffels Hook at the moment. But as they move along, we're going to do the same. It looks like there's a little gap for us to get back to the Nkahuma lioness and those three little cubs. But while we try and make our way back there, let's go see what James is up to.
They've sat up, everyone. We decided just to hang around here a little bit longer because we are going to do a Facebook Live section. I'm not sure if we are going to do it here or if Brent's going to do it, but it just does help to have two sightings on the go. Yeah, nothing else has happened. Everyone gone to sleep here, so we'll just wait here another 10 minutes or so. I'm just listening to the radio and the I'm listening to the radio and one of these guys saying he doesn't want to come and look at these lions. They're not healthy enough for him to look at with his guests. He'd rather go and look at the female. So the female is around. She's on the boundary between us and Mala Mala. But apparently not a very good view. So we'll sit here for a little bit longer and then we'll move out and go and see what's going on at the plains. I'm hoping desperately, of course, to see the ostriches there, so that I might try the ostrich attraction technique that Hayden Turner taught me. Where you lie on your back in front of the ostriches and you pedal your legs like this, and the emus in Australia will come towards you, and I'd quite like to see whether the South African ostriches will do the same thing. I'm not sure. We'll see. Yeah, Aaron in Florida, you're wondering about how the mange is passing through this little group of cubs, and could it be passed from one to the other? Absolutely, I'm sure it could be passed from one to the other, and I'm sure that's exactly how it's traveling through this group. I'm pretty sure it's through that contact. You can see them lying on top of each other there. You saw the ones on the termite mound also lying on top of each other. So I have no doubt in my mind that that's exactly how it transfers through the group. But the group, of course, if they are vaguely nutritionally compromised, they are going to struggle to fight off any disease. It's the same as when you aren't healthy. Often it's because you've got some kind of, I don't know, a nutrient missing, maybe not enough vitamin C, or could be any other kind of nutrition that's missing. You're going to struggle to fight off a common cold, and I think that's exactly the same with these animals. We saw that one Birmingham boy who had a dreadful case of mange all over his belly, and he was scratching and licking, and it was really very disgusting at one stage. It's totally cleared up. I think he's got maybe a little bit of scarring on his belly, but other than that, he's absolutely fine. So their bodies, as long as they get enough to eat, will eventually cope with the problem. Can you see these at all, Vim? Do you want me to go back a bit? Astonishing sighting there. Move back a little bit. Diane, 44, you want to know about what would happen if they died and would the pride eat them? Diane, first of all, you don't have to be sorry for your question. It's a very good question. And the answer is possibly. Yes, it is possible. It's not impossible. Go ahead. Andrew, welcome to Leave It Open Lock. I'll make my way down there slowly a bit later. So Andrew's just asking if I want to come and see the lioness. We will go down there and see if we can spot her a little bit later. We'll just sit here for a bit longer though. So yes, the cubs could be eaten by the rest of the pride. It often happens. If they die, it's unlikely they'll be killed by the pride, but certainly if they die, you know, it's not something to be sorry about asking, certainly, and it's also not that, while it's abhorrent to us, of course, with our, you know, we tend to be a lot more attached, I think, to each other than perhaps lions are to each other. It's just a waste of nutrients otherwise. Lions are the top scavengers as well as being the top predators out here, and they scavenge a lot. And so to find out that they would scavenge on their own is not very surprising. Chris Rogue, you're wondering about bovine TB and how it would affect the lions. It would probably affect them, Chris, in much the same way as the mange is affecting them. If they are nutritionally compromised, then it's going to take hold. If they are not, if they're healthy, they're getting enough to eat, and they've got all of the nutrition that they need, then they are absolutely going to survive the TB, and it will have almost no effect on them. And it's the same with TB in human beings. So in this current state, if their pride has got TB, which is highly likely given where we live, and just about all the lions out here have got some form of TB or some kind of infection of TB, you'll find that, if they don't get enough to eat, then it's going to affect their lungs. There we go, getting a little bit playful now. That's nice to see. Or probably just itchy. It's difficult to see how they are going to come up here, or why they would be down there. I mean, it's a very good question as to how they fetched up there in that elephant footprint. Well, finally, a bird is calling. I haven't heard a bird mention the way of bird call for the last few days. There's a white-browed club robin calling. Nice to hear. And these chaps doing nothing. Now, I think what we'll do, everybody, if you don't mind, and I'm going to ask Rebecca if she doesn't mind, the lioness is apparently not too far from here, so it'll be quite nice to go down and have a look at them, because I think we'll go and look for the lionesses, leave these chaps in peace, and see what happens later on. Okay. Positive and negative, pro and con to the sighting, I suppose. Their fate will be revealed as time progresses. My little lions, and all the very, very best of luck to you. I've now got to get down this hill, of course, without wiping VM or I out. I'll probably have to do it backwards, it will be quite fun. We'll send VM down the dangerous way first. You right back there, VM? How about chaps? This is really clever.
We are waiting for our chance to go back to those glorious little lion cubs. So they are just in there, Aubrey's with them at the moment. So we were waiting here, but now that you're back with us, we'll take your little bumble around and then we'll come back. Oh, Ryan. Oh, I can't get out of the car here. In case Mommy decides to come. Oh, I don't think we're going to see it. But there's a flower. Do you see it, Brian? I think it's that one. Oh, just come out. Oh, there we go. Well done, Brian. What a cameraman. What a cameraman. There we go. It looks to be a little... Oh, I'm not actually 100% sure, and I don't want to get out of the car. The lion's quite close by. I know, I do know it. I just can't remember its name. Give me a second, I'll remember, but that's not... I'm quite excited. We haven't seen many flowers at the moment. Just normally at this time of the year, the only flower we see is the narrow-leaved calancho, which is next to the lions. But, this is going to drive me nuts because I know it. Anthericum. Okay, sorry about that. I seem to be my game drive communication device has a mind of its own. It keeps it jumping from quiet In my ear, out my ear, in my ear, in my ear, in my No, we have to get young Connor on that. But we will be going back into those line covers shortly. I'm just waiting for Aubrey to finish. But while you're with us, we'll do a loop. Go have a look, maybe a quick look at Buffalo's Hook Waterhole. Now, she took us on a serious ride today. Up and down and through the drainage line, over the trees, through the rocks. But she has chosen a particularly good spot. Hi, Michael. Michael's asked a really interesting question. Michael's 13 years old. You must be a very smart 13-year-old, Michael. Michael says, do we ever do aerial counts of the animals in the Sabi Sands? And how often, if so? Well, they do. Now, the problem with an aerial count is it's very, very unreliable for a lot of animals. Impala, duiker, etc. It's almost impossible. The only things you can really count well aerially. Now, you see that? Right, there's a francolin in the tree making a racket.
Okay, copy, thanks.
I wonder what scared that francolin into the tree. If it, no, oh, sorry, there's the hornbills below him. I think he's just behind there. So there could be a snake on the ground. There could be a slender mongoose. There could be a leopard. There could be a lion. But something has spooked that francolin up into the tree. And the hornbills are making a noise. Is there a large black mamba around here? Sorry, I'll get back to the question now. Just want to have a quick look in this. More francolin alarm calls deeper into the bush. Probably, more than likely, most likely a slender mongoose, but always pays to double check. So about aerial counts. So it's the only things you can really count from the air: elephant, rhino, and buffalo. And even then, it's not 100% accurate. Actually, ground counts are more accurate, and those are taken. But they do aerial and ground counts every year. A ground count would see it works on. It's a mathematic formula where you work on holding capacity of the land, number of wildebeest, etc. seen on that, and then you work out a mean average, which is actually a lot more accurate than aerial counts. Aerial counts, even with elephants and buffalo and stuff like that, are very inaccurate. For example, I grew up on a reserve called Pinda, which was exactly 17,000 hectares. We had exactly 62 elephants, and we flew in a helicopter, and much lower than you would normally fly for an aerial count, because it was a guest's helicopter and he liked doing it for fun. And with 4 experienced spotters in the car, and we managed to see 1 out of the exact number of 64 elephants we had. So, and we knew we had exactly 92 rhino, and we saw, I think, 25, and we knew exactly X buffalo, and we only saw less than half. So aerial counts, I mean, there is a place for them, but they're not always the most accurate. Okay, so I'm just listening. I'm hoping, well, I'm not hoping, I know we're going to get another chance to go to those cubs. Just waiting for Aubrey to pop out. But we're going to have a quick swing past the Buffalo's Hook waterhole, see if there's anything there. Hi, Joyce in New Hampshire. Joyce is wondering why we don't see many snakes on the safari. Are they scarce and hard to see? Well, they're not scarce, they're just hard to see. So the vibrations of the vehicles often alert them to our presence and they disappear down a hole. A lot of them are arboreal and have incredible camouflage that they look like it's a twig or a leaf even, or even a branch. So they're just incredibly developed not to be seen because they are eaten by a lot of birds and a lot of predators. And of course, human beings have an innate fear of them, and in most areas will try to kill them. So they are quite skittish, and most snakes are far more scared of you than you are of them. But we have multiple species here. We've got snouted cobra, Mozambique spitting cobra, black mamba, puff adder, night adder, shield cobra. And those are just the venomous ones. I'm thinking about African rock python, variegated bush snake, centipede eaters, red-lipped heralds. I mean, and there's a list, thread snakes, blind snakes, mole snakes. And must remember, a lot of snake species are also subterranean, so they live under the ground. So again, quite often we only see those after they've been flushed by a big rain. But there are plenty of snakes here. They're just very good at avoiding detection. Okay, while we make our way back towards those wonderful little Nkahuma cubs, let's go to James, who's got another feline surprise for you.
There are the, well, there is the leg of one of the Styx lionesses and an ear, and the other two, there's one there, who've just gone past, and then another one there. They are not in fact dead, they are doing what lions do best, and that is sleeping. They seem to be very much like their cubs lying in a hole. Why they would be lying so close to those cubs yet completely unable to protect them from where they are here, I do not understand. And look how impossible it is to see them. Isn't that amazing? If you came walking past here, you'd have absolutely no idea that there were 3 hungry lionesses lying right here. They don't seem to be particularly full, and you'd know immediately. I don't know if you were there with us yesterday, watching the lioness that Brent is about to go back to. She was panting. And that's because she was so full of kudu. These chaps you can see breathing very, very slowly indeed, indicating that they have not eaten much. Be good to see them stand up and see if they're looking skinny. But not the best view in the world. We'll spend a couple of minutes here and then we'll move on towards the plains of cheetah. Just need to coordinate with Brent because I'm not entirely sure what's going on with our Facebook Live broadcast. And just in case you're wondering what I'm talking about, it's a broadcast we're doing to the National Geographic and Nat Geo Wild Facebook pages, and that's basically to say, hey, how's it going? What's up? Where you are? This is what we do, and if you want to watch us, well, this is where you can watch us. And we give them the website that you're all watching on now. And that is to obviously increase the size of our community so that more and more people can be inspired by these incredible animals and spaces that we're able to share with you live throughout the world. I'm just going to say that word again, live. Of course, this is completely live, unedited. And that's just an amazing thing to me. So not a great deal of huge excitement going on here. they haven't even bothered to blink, flick an ear, or even look up as we drove past. One of them was lying on her back as we came past. That's the only reason we spotted her, because her stomach was sticking out into the air, covered in white fluff. And you can see as soon as they turn over, well, they become completely invisible. I think they've just come out of Mala Mala, which is the area to the south of where we're sitting now. But otherwise, I think we should probably press on and see what's in the clearings before it gets too dark. Okay, VMP, you happy with that? Good stuff. Nearly got us stuck just on the road there. That was rather ridiculous. Goodbye, lions. Thanks for looking up. Your babies need you. Go back to them immediately. Go on. Get up. You're so lazy. Nice view of that lioness. VM's got a nice view of one of the lionesses. Say when, VMP. Yes, there we go. You can see not particularly concerned by life at all. Also, doesn't seem to be carrying any mange, which is interesting. If you didn't see her stomach rising and falling, you would definitely be forgiven for thinking that she had passed on. Look at that. You can hardly see her at all. That's the same view as I've got right now. Righty, on we go. It's getting a little chilly out here, isn't it, Viam? Are you cold? Oh, you've already got your jacket on. Well, lucky old you. I'm going to put mine on immediately. So we're now on the southern boundary of Cheetah Plains. Mala Mala to the south, Cheetah Plains to the north. South is to the right-hand side of your screen. North, obviously, therefore, to the left. And straight in front of us, we are heading east. And therefore, behind us is Viam. West, yes, that's correct. Good. Now we've sorted that out. I think it's wonderful that Brent is managing to go back to those other lions, because I think after the slightly disturbing family dynamics we've seen here, the neglect to which those little ones are being subjected, it would be nice to see the Nkuhumas and those 3 fat little babies. I didn't get that, Vim, did you? There are some arrow-marked babblers there, everybody. You can hear them babbling away. I think that have come across each other here. Alright, our signal is not great, so let's head across to Brent before he gets to the lions. We'll see you in the clearings.
Okay, we're just back at those Nkuhuma cubs. We're trying to see if there's a better view from a little bit to... Oh, I don't know. I think we might have been in the best spot. What do you think, Brian? There's quite a lot of bush between us and them.
Good afternoon, Station. Any update for me?
Okay, there we go. Now the cubs are lying just off Mom's head. If they go back to feeding, now they'll be in a good spot. Now, it's actually perfect here because I can show you why this is such a good den site. So if Mom's not here, these little cubs are going to be literally in the most impenetrable little ravine. So it's probably about nearly a meter deep. And you can just see there's porcupine bushes, dalbergias, zebra woods that are just so thick. And there's a tiny little ravine in there that literally, even if you were looking for them, you wouldn't see them inside that. Looks like they're napping. I can't really see them. Brian, how's your view? Now, Torsten's wondering what would happen if the pride were to meet the cubs before the female introduced them to them. Well, the reason the females wait a little bit to introduce them is not so much that they're going to kill them or eat them, it's just that they're a bit boisterous with them. Specifically because there are other cubs that are a bit older, they tend to be a little bit more rough. So they need to be of a sort of certain age and strength that they are able to deal with the joys of living in a large family. Right, Brian, we go back to the first spot. Yeah, I think the first spot was better. We're just trying to see if we could get you a better view. Oh, Brian wants me to stop. He's seen something. Oh, there we go. They're going to join Mom. Hello, cutenesses. Not the most coordinated. Well, it's definitely been a lion safari today. James with the sticks, us with the Nkuma and cubs. Hi, Cheryl. Cheryl's wondering at what age are lion cubs safe from a takeover of males? Well, male cubs are never safe, but female cubs, they have to be probably about 3 years old to be safe from a pride takeover. They have to be nearing their first proper estrus cycle for mating. Anything younger than that, and the males will kill them. Is that a very slow stalk we're witnessing? Yes, it was. That was a very, very clumsy stalk and pounce, but practice nonetheless when it gets bigger and it starts to jump on things like buffalo. Okay. What do you think, Brian? Let's go around where I think we were going to get a much clearer view of them. Okay, while we move into the spot where I think we're going to get the best view of those cubs, let's go back to James.
We're not quite in the clearings yet, everybody, so you can join us as we go into them. Just up ahead here. We'll see what's in them. Viam just posed a very good question to me, and he said to me, did I think that the quarantine male leopard would lose his popularity if he was to burst from the bushes and catch one of those lion cubs? And I said to him, I thought amongst some viewers, yes, he might lose his popularity, but others would be vociferous in their defense of him. I'm sure that he's a real danger to them. You know, he lurks around here quite a lot. If he came across those lion cubs, no, he would take them to pieces. Probably all of them. Be nice to see him. Not there. Maybe around where we are now. Right, the great swathe of open areas about to open up in front of us, everybody. I hope you're ready for it. Do not be intimidated by the space. Here we go. We're going to burst into the open. You ready, VM? Deathly silence from behind me. You can read the thoughts. The thoughts thinking, what an idiot. Oh, big bump. And here we are. Oh, southern black tint nearly got run over. And we'll roll gently into the clearings. It always feels like you've come to another world. Look at that opening out in front of us there. Isn't that nice? Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous view. Now we'll see if we can find some jackals, or some cheetahs, or some ostriches. Right, now I'm going to do the ostrich attraction dance, and well, I'm just going to get a little bit further into the clearings here, and then I shall do it for you, everybody. I hope you're ready for it. And maybe the ostriches, will you warn me if the ostriches come, please? Because I won't be able to see them while I'm in the middle. This is my first attempt, so it's probably quite a good idea that we do it while there aren't any actual ostriches around. Okay, here we are. Going to do it in that clearing over there. Now everybody, I'm taking my life in my hands here, of course. That is what we do at Safari Live, for your edification and viewing pleasure. Okay, VM, are you ready? Okay, right. Now what you do when you see an emu in Australia is you do the following. And we're wondering if it will work for ostriches. I'm genuinely going to do this next time I see an ostrich. But this is my first practice. It probably helps if you're a bit taller than I am. So you lie down on your back, lift your legs in the air. How's my form, VM?
It's good.
And then you start pedaling like this. And what happens is that if you're in Australia, the emus will come towards you. It seems to be very effective. Now, I'm not going to go any faster, Becca, because what will happen is that I'm tired. My form is better now. So that's how we're going to attract ostriches the next time they arrive. That's enough of that. Ostriches can be quite dangerous, you know, everybody. I suspect that they would be far too bemused to be dangerous, though, if they saw me doing that in front of them. Okay, let's carry on. Let's go down this way. You may have been able to hear the Senegal lapwings going. Vim, you don't seem very impressed with my ostrich dance or with my call of the Senegal lapwing.
I was your microphone while you were doing it.
Oh, I see. Alright, Brent is in a better position with the lions, and they are infinitely more entertaining than my ostrich dance. Let's go and have a look.
Now, I think that's something I would have paid good money to watch. Unfortunately, the cubs are just playing behind a bush at the moment, but I think they will come back out towards the open behind Mom. They are moving around quite a bit. at that. Isn't that just too sweet? And imagine that we found them by the slightest little call, that little while they were arguing over suckling. It's quite a rewarding way to have actually found them from that incredible little call. Now, having tracked lions and lion cubs on foot many times, you don't want to be close enough to hear the little cub moans when you're on foot. That means you're about to be in trouble. Hi Garrett, welcome to Safari Live. Garrett's a new viewer. Garrett's asking, is this dangerous? Well, it has the potential to be dangerous, Garrett, but we drive very carefully, very respectfully around these animals, and also they're very used to us. As you can see, the mom is taking absolutely no notice of us whatsoever, and the cubs are frolicking about with abandon at the moment. So they will take their opportunities to be as active as possible while mom's here. It's not uncommon for female lions to leave their cubs for up to 3 or 4 days while they go hunting. So they need to produce enough meat to be able to keep producing milk. And in some of those circumstances, they do leave their cubs for extended periods. It's not uncommon. It's very, very normal lion behavior. Jacqueline, there we go, spot on. Jacqueline was saying, I've seen a domestic kitten need a mother's nipples to suckle more milk. Do any big cats do this? Well, there we go. You can't really see it, but they do. There we go. Oh, I was doing it a little bit. There we go. But they do need, it just depends on how much milk she's producing and how much she's eaten recently to whether the kneading. You'll notice with lions, kneading normally happens more when the lioness has not eaten, so isn't producing as much milk. Then they will need to try stimulate those nipples. Come on, come play at where we can see you, you little monsters. Now, SJB is wondering, has anyone ever seen a lioness giving birth? There may be 1 or 2 records in the wild, but most of the recorded lion births you will see will be filmed in zoos, where they can set artificial cameras and artificial dens. Now, in the wild, lions utilize some of the most inaccessible little ravines or rocky outcrops and crevices to give birth in. So the chances of actually seeing a wild lion birth are almost zero. To give you an idea, I've lived in the bush my whole life, and I think the closest I've come to seeing a big cat birth was this year when we found Karula, the female leopard, when her cubs were a mere few hours old. That's the closest, and I think that's about the luckiest you're ever going to get out in the wild. Of course, in captivity, one set up den sites, artificial den sites and stuff for the lions to use, and place cameras in there. So if any of those are, you ever do see filming of lions giving birth, it'll be from captivity. Hi, Aaron. Aaron's 8 years old, and Aaron's wondering, are lions born with teeth? They indeed are, Aaron. They have a set of milk teeth, and they'll keep those baby teeth till they're about 6 months old. And after that, they will lose them. Or they'll start growing their bigger teeth before that, but obviously by the age of 6 months, most of the baby teeth are out. And it coincides at the age of weaning. And what weaning means, Aaron, is the age they stop drinking their mummy's milk. Hi, Thomas. Thomas says, well, if the Nkahumas and the Sticks were to meet, would they form a super pride, or would all hell break loose? It would be the latter. They're unrelated females, so they're protecting their genetic line, which they do not share. Or if they did share, it's been a very long time since they shared any genetics. So there would be a fight, and the Nkahumas would more than likely win due to the superior number of females. Now, like male lions will fight over territory, so will females. So the Nkahumas will defend their territory from the Sticks and vice versa. Well, quickly across to James.
We stopped here, everybody, to look at a wildebeest. That is very clearly not a wildebeest. It is a side-striped jackal. Very nice. Looks like a little wolf. And there's another one just behind it. They've decided that we smell funny, and so they're leaving. And quite interestingly, that they were sitting very comfortably with the wildebeest here. There is a wildebeest, but let's just keep an eye on those jackals, because they won't be here for long. That's the female there behind and the male in front. You can see he's just slightly more solidly bised. See, he's just slightly bigger built than the little one. But she's just as tall as he is. She's beautiful, isn't she? She's pale. That's so cool. And we were asked the other day, of course, why is the jackalberry called the jackalberry? And we know that we've spent a lot of time, that huge flowering jackalberry, on the Mlwamati drainage. Well, them jackals like to eat them berries very much, the side-striped do. And there, a Sloan wildebeest bull. Enjoying the grazing available at Cheetah Plains. There was not one creature in any of the clearings, everyone. We've been through all of them. Just look there, quite nice to see those dew claws. They're called dew claws, even though they're not claws at all, on the wildebeest's foot there. And they're sort of vestigial hand joints, if you like. Now, he's in excellent condition. He really is. He's looking very big and strong. And right now, up in the Mara, all of these wildebeest apparently are mating. And these ones here that are clearly not mating, and their mating season is much earlier than the ones in the Mara. Those huge herds of wildebeest that migrate in their massive numbers, apparently up to 1 million. I've read between 1 million and 2 million. How you can have such a vast difference, I'm not really sure, but apparently between 1 and 2 million wildebeest. And that's the same wildebeest as this, Slightly different subspecies, but they could certainly interbreed. That's quite arty, isn't it, Wiem? The green and the, focus pull to the eye there. That's not so much, is it?
I wasn't really doing anything.
No, I'm in the way, though. Let me move the car a bit, and then we can get a better view. So I must confess that but for the elephants, who I think are looking a little bit ropey at the moment, I think that the rest of the animals have coped admirably well with the drought. There we are. Sorry, Wiem. Let me move forward a bit. There. Okay, are you happy? Good. Now that's not disease on the back of that thing, unlike the similar sort of shaded skin. That's just mud, everyone. And very similar mud to the mud that those lions were lying in. Obviously it was a bit wetter when this chap lay in it. But I think also some of the colour on those little lion cubs is brought about by the mud. And that's kind of thick, clayey stuff that's quite difficult to get off the skin. He, of course, is in danger on his own here. He'd be better off lurking around with a herd of impala or perhaps some zebra. But I'm sure he knows best, especially as those 3 lazy lionesses are so long away from here. Oh, there's some elephants in front of us. Let's move forward. They've just crossed the road in front of us. A couple of ellies. Rebecca says she reckons my ostrich kicking dance called many other animals except the ostrich. Well, that doesn't really matter, does it? At least I got something right, she says. Thank you, Rebecca. You may now be quiet. There are elephants everywhere here. Here's a young bull. There are a whole lot to the left of us, some in front. Beautiful. Much tree to eat. I'm going to move forward. Let's leave that one there because these ones in front are feeding on a green bush and possibly the last green apple leaf that there is here. It's quite interesting to see. Now that poor apple leaf is about to have a very bad evening. Set upon by 3 or 4 elephants. And the rest of the herd is sort of all around us. 1, 2, I can see 2 to the right, 2 in front. So a good sized herd this, and they're feeding through, other than the ones there eating the apple leaf, they're feeding through what is essentially a strychnos woodland, or black monkey thorn woodland. Oh, here comes a vicious fellow. Young bull. Look at the colour, isn't that colour beautiful? Now Dispatch, you asked a question this morning, which I'm going to get back to you about. Well, let's just wait for this bull to come up here. He's doing this because he's bored. We chatted about bored animals this morning. I think he's bored. He's bored sitting and eating all day long. Now he wants a bit of entertainment, and here we are to provide it for him. Come on then, come and say hello. Oh, it's such fun. Dispatch, you say, you asked a question about zigzaggy trees, and you say you don't know, or you're explaining now that they are, you meant that the trunks were zigzaggy. I don't know which tree you mean still, but you'll find that a lot of the trunks are not straight, of just about all the trees out here, Dispatch, because of this, because of what you're watching right now. You can see that elephant is breaking that tree, and the trees are adapted to this, so they don't die when they're broken. They just grow up in a different angle. And I think that's why you'll find many of the trees that you're noticing are not the sort of classical oak tree shape, but rather they have either multiple stems or stems that grow in different directions. There's another elephant behind us, one coming to the right there. Paul, you're so right. You say elephants really do brighten up everyone's day. I couldn't agree with you more. I think they're certainly brightening up my day. I felt a little depressed after those lions, to be honest. Now, Viam, do you think I can get him with the sunset? Probably not, hey? Viam, you're so encouraging. That's a she, most definitely. It's not very good, Viam. You want to see it? In fact, it's horrible. Thank you for that. Could you kindly show our viewers something other than my incompetence? Everybody loves to show you my photographs, mostly because they're not in focus, and he finds that quite amusing. Look at the dexterity of the feet. We've watched that a lot this winter. And thank you for all of you who are taking very nice screen grabs, your own form of safari photograph. They're often fantastic. In fact, it's a bit depressing sometimes when you get onto social media and find that the screen grabs that people have taken from the United States and Fiji and Helsinki are, well, better than the ones I've taken from being right here. Dirty, dirty trunk, at least tusks there, and that's because they've been digging. They've been doing a lot of digging and a lot of. There's probably quite a lot of tannin on those tusks from the breaking off of the trees, and many of the trees of here have tannin under the bark, and that will discolor the teeth. Just keeping an eye behind us to see that nothing sneaks up there. Doesn't seem to be. Interestingly, that apple leaf doesn't seem, they seem to have left it alone. They're clearly not that enthralled by what it has to offer them, and would rather be eating the bark off the dry combretum bushes. Hello, Lynn. You want to know if I ever post my pictures? I do, Lynn. I post about one a day on my Instagram account. I'll tell you about 2 Instagram accounts. Mine is James R.A. Hendry, if you want to look at my average photographs. I post one once a day. Well, mostly, if I've got something worth posting. And then another one you should follow, kind of tongue-in-cheek, Eggsy. Eggsy, our new cameraman and editor, has started basically an Instagram account called Eggsy on Safari, and I don't know why this is so funny, but basically he will be posting blurry pictures, so I will be able to give him many of mine to post on his account. I'm not sure why he's doing that, but the hashtag is blurry safaris. I should probably have the hashtag laxative safaris, because every animal we go past goes to the loo. I don't think any of these elephants have. Maybe I've lost my touch.
It was a bit scarce.
Yes. So you say, have I had a chance to see if any of the animals react to music? I have. Brian and I did a beatbox and a rap once to Kunuma male leopard, Karula's son, and he was very unhappy with us. He came charging at us, in fact, and well, he sort of took 2 steps towards us and was growling rather viciously, so we didn't try it with him again. Then we tried it with Karula once. She too took great offence, and she didn't charge us, but she growled and then walked off. So they don't like beatboxing and rap. I don't know, VM, do you want to give the trumpet voluntary to the elephants? VM is an excellent trumpet player, everybody. Right, here we go. Let's see what they do. And once more. It's very nice. They seem to be quite happy to listen to some Rossini out here on Cheetah Plains. Okay, I want to go from here to 3 in a row pan, which is just around the corner. And we'll see if Quarantine is there, and if he is, well, we might do him a bit of a rap and perhaps some William Tell overture. Right, dispatch, you say the mystery is solved. You have found, a friend of yours has sent you a picture of an acacia tree. You say that's the zigzaggy tree. Well, I'm glad you found it. Let's head across to Brent. He is off Facebook and he is with the lions.
So we've got a last few moments with the precious Nkahuma cubs. The sun is dipping below the western horizon, and we're not going to stay here as it gets darker. But all cubs have stopped shenanigans and are tucking in for an early evening meal. So we're going to leave the lions exactly how we found them, doing the exact same thing. But that was a couple of hours ago, but it has been splendid being around with the Nkahuma lioness and the 3 youngest cubs. Now I'm hoping the rest of them make an appearance tomorrow or even later on this sunset safari. And in a very peaceful and tender moment, we shall leave the Nkahumas and see what else we're going to be able to find out here in the glorious African bush. Okay, bye-bye, Nkahumas. Now, Kaiser's wondering how many lion cubs can feed at one time. Well, Kaiser, 4 is the maximum, but they will try. I have seen 6 try feed at the same time. I've seen 8 try feed at the same time, which generally produces quite an entertaining scene. So while we leave this peaceful scene, let's go back to James until we're back on the road.
Well, that was a short little trip with the lions to say goodnight to them, and I'm sure you were very happy to see them looking in fine fettle in comparison with the ones we saw a little bit earlier. Now, we're approaching a 3 in a row pan and wondering if there isn't perhaps Quarantine male leopard there. And then VM can play him a trumpet voluntary as well. See if he likes music any more than his brother. I mean, to be fair, I don't blame his brother for disliking the rap. I'm not a particular fan myself. He's probably more into the classics. We see him again, never. We'll be sure to maybe do him some classical stuff, maybe one or two rock songs. Maybe he's into the sort of classic rock. Definitely not into the rap, though. Right, here we are at the pans. Let's have a look-see. Now, everyone else in the whole world seems to have seen this leopard at these pans. He apparently has a favourite marula tree. He is not in it now. And he also has a favourite termite mound on which I'm hoping he will be lying. No, nothing just yet. Liam, you're going to have to play your trumpet to something else, I'm afraid. Perhaps a terrapin will pop out and you can play your trumpet to him. No, no terrapins even. So apparently this is his favourite marula tree, everybody, just not when we're around. And you can just, if we pan off there, you can maybe see the last embers of the sun just before it disappears. There it is. Oh, look at it, Liam. Well done. Good job. It's just disappearing to the west behind the Drakensberg Mountains, the great dragon's back. That's what Drakensberg means, by the way. Not that there have ever been dragons in this particular area, I don't think. Liam, you have never seen a dragon here, have you?
Not here.
Not here. Where have you seen a dragon? Pretoria?
No.
Not in the mountains.
No.
You're just not here. Fair enough. Oh dear. Can't go there. We're going to turn around. It's always a little awkward when this happens. I will explain, everybody. But there are those of which we do not speak or show. And so that is all I'm going to say. I'm just going to carry on now. Quarantine's still not here, Liam. You see that? No. I think the moon will probably be full in about 3 or 4 nights' time. And then Liam will become a werewolf. That's why he's got such an impressive beard. Not so, Liam. A were-leopard, he says. He's a were-leopard. He's not a werewolf at all. Ah. Well, that's a terrifying thing indeed. A trumpet playing were-leopard. Absolutely terrifying. Right, let's put some lights on. I tell you, everybody, the hodgepodge of absolutely mad eccentricity we have living in this camp. Well, you'd struggle to find more in Bedlam. Righty, we're going to head now back towards home along a road called Ingwe Road, which means Leopard Road. Hopefully there will be a leopard there on it. You might just be able to hear in the background the red-crested kohan going. And it will shortly fly up into the air to show its suicide display to all the other males in the area. Otherwise, I've got to tell you, not a huge amount going on here at Cheetah Plains at the moment, and I suspect it's on account of the fact that much of the area has been denuded of vegetation during the course of the drought. But as I say, I don't think the animals are doing too badly at all, except for the elephants, looking a bit rough, and those little lion cubs. And as I said to the Facebook audience today, the great thing about Safari Live is you can watch these stories unfolding day in and day out. We have a chance to actually watch the stories of the animals unfold. I'm going to look up on this mound here, everyone, just before it gets too dark. I'll tell you why. It's because it's got a jackalberry on it, but you can see the jackalberry is almost like a creeper. And I'm wondering if it isn't fruiting. If something comes shooting out of that hole, you will film it, will you? Thank you. Perhaps you could warn me. I think this is a male tree, or just one that's been so badly damaged that it's unable to produce fruit. There's another one here. You know what? Can you still hear me, Vim? Everyone, this is unbelievable. I'm standing now on the main trunk of jackalberry. An enormous tree of diameter, probably about 3 feet. Now, I suspect it was struck by lightning or blown over by wind, because I don't think elephants could have pushed it over. It's too big. But the rest of these things here, all of these jackalberries, which look like individual trees, I'm almost certain that they have grown up as a result of that big tree being pushed over. Which means that all of the trees that you can see on this mound are in fact one organism. They're one plant. I think that's absolutely incredible. Don't you, Vim? Look that amazed, I must confess to you. I'll put it down to the fact that, you know, as a were-leopard, you're just not particularly emotional. All I got from Rebecca was, blah, blah, update, very cool. I think that means that we're supposed to go to Brent. Is that correct? Right, let's go across to Brent.
So if Vim turns into a were-leopard, what does Brian Joubert turn in? Brian, what do you turn into?
The were-thumb.
Oh, the were-thumb! Be fair, fear the were-thumb! 2 days hence shall we see a were-thumb, I fear for my life. Jokes aside, we're going to head now back towards the northern edge of our traverse area and start heading to the west. And I'm hoping that the rest of the Nkuhuma Pride are going to pop out at some point. They can't keep hiding for this long. On a positive note, we definitely know they haven't gone into Buffalo's Hook. We've checked that area extensively. Now, I'm hoping for a little late afternoon leopard as we marched off to the west. But we'll have to suffice with a late afternoon zebra. Oh, a late afternoon zebra that's mobile to Buffalo's Hook. Bye-bye, zebra. It is now a Buffalo's Hook zebra, no longer a Djuma zebra. Oh, there's another one. Now, they're probably going to try head down towards the waterhole. We're not far from Buffalo's Hook Dam, and they're not looking that relaxed. So we're not going to pressurize them. Hello, Michael, who's 13, who watches Safari Live with his family all the time. Well, lovely to have you with us, Michael, and the rest of your family, of course. Now, Michael's wondering, why do zebras have shadow stripes? Well, Michael, it's probably to do with the camouflage, so that black-white with a slight brownish stripe will help break them up. But other zebras, and depending on the area, don't have such prominent shadow stripes, and another species of zebra that lives up in northern Kenya, the gravy zebra, has no shadow stripes, but their stripes are much closer together, so that's probably why they don't have. Okay. The long road to the west. What are you going to produce for us today, Buffalo's Hook Cutline? Okay. Now, it has been a wonderful afternoon so far. Now, Harold has got very good questions. Is how many miles of roads or kilometers of roads? Kyle, sorry. Kyle. Carol, sorry about that, Carol. Carol. Hi, Carol. how many miles of roads? I'd probably say about 150. Don't work out in kilometers, about 200, no, maybe less than that. Maybe 120 to 130 miles. I will try find out the exact figure for you. I'm sure somewhere someone has got that little gem of information. But in the whole Sabi Sands, well, a lot more. I'm just talking about the area that we traverse. So Djuma, Arathusa, and Cheetah Plains. Hi, Wendy. Well, Wendy thought our traverse areas are in the Kruger Park. Well, they are. Well, they're in the Greater Kruger, Wendy. The Sabi Sand Game Reserve is about 125,000 acres, and it borders the Kruger Park. And there, while we say the Greater Kruger, hello, Ellies, is because there's no fence between us and the Kruger. So the animals are open to meander between the two, but it is called the Greater Kruger National Park. What are you up to, you little horror? Oh, it seems to be very much a baby day for us. Baby zebra, baby lions, baby elephant. Now, hasn't quite mastered the use of the trunk, so I think he's just having a scratch and a play on the little bank there. Wondering where all the elephants had got to this evening. I haven't even heard any. How incredibly cute before they've got their full use of their trunk. Sticking close to Mom there. Oh. Because that little elephant's not reliant on finding his own food, he's got time to play. So you find it's seldom that adult animals play too much. They're more concentrated on survival, getting enough nutrients, feeding. But of course that little one is getting all the nutrients he needs from Mom, so that gives him ample time to act like a buffoon. Is it? It is. Is it short trunk? Oh, it is short trunk. Hello, girl. I haven't seen you in a while. What are you doing, you little horror? Now, you heard me say short trunk. This female's got a short trunk, and it's a herd we see quite regularly. And her little calf looks to be in high spirits. And she might. A very, very relaxed herd of elephants we know very well, so they might even come closer to us while we sit here and observe them. Now, it's quite important with elephants, even elephants you know and see regularly that aren't normally very relaxed. Rather let them come to you than you force yourself into their space. Michelle is wondering, is this Benji? No, unfortunately not, Michelle. Benji's with a different herd. This is the half-trunk herd. So that adult female we're looking at there, she's got a shortened trunk. She probably got injured when she was much younger. So she doesn't have the prehensile tip that most elephants have, and her trunk's a little bit shorter, but she has managed to adapt incredibly to utilize her trunk, even though she is at a slight disadvantage compared to the other elephants. There's a few more directly behind her feeding as well. Let me just have a look. Okay. Now, at the back of her right front leg, you might see a bit of discoloration there. And I'm sure a couple of people got worried that it was a wound. It's not. It's actually a bit of color coming off the cambium layer of bark where she's used her foot to dig out a root. And it's turned into an absolutely exquisite evening. The wind's died down, not a cloud in the sky. Barred owlets calling in the background. Oh, pearl spotted joining in. Yeah, that barred owlet.
Changing mobile and stuff.
Just Cambium and Love, Bovzo Catline Junction, Gary Catline. Here you go, here comes the little one. Hello, little monster. Looks like a little boy. Don't get left behind. Now, you can hear that, what sounds to be a pearl-spotted eyelet. I think that's a bit too high-pitched. What do you think, Brian?
I think it's a drongo.
I think it's a fork-tailed drongo mimicking a pearl-spotted eyelet. Let me just move the vehicle so you can see the eddies a bit better. Maybe a bit further back. Well, a huge Safari Live welcome. Oh, there's a bit of elephant chasing elephant action going on there. Let's go forward again. There we go. A huge Safari Live welcome to Vanna, who's in South Africa, but he's a student at the University of Potchefstroom, and he's originally from Polokwane in Limpopo province. And he says he loves watching Safari Live. It reminds him of being in the bush. Well, great to have you on board with us, Vanna. So we know the half-trunk herd quite well. I think this is more than one herd. I think there's a couple of different herds in here. Now, it's not uncommon for herds to join and separate as they move through, but I'm pretty sure a half-trunk herd is normally about 4 individuals, and there's at least 15 or 20 that I can hear in the bushes behind, and a couple of adults I don't recognize. So I'm pretty sure that there's multiple family groups in this area. Oh. Now, I can't really see it. It's quite dark, but the one on the left is definitely a female. And it looks like a young male is the one who's causing the havoc. It could be just a bit of playfulness, a bit of greeting, or he could be trying to move her off that food source. But no, I think this just looks a bit more like, hi, how you doing? Haven't had a chat in a while. How things going? Tough drought we're having, isn't it? Where's the best water around at the moment? No, of course, I am joking. So these young bulls can become quite boisterous, and that's generally why they get reprimanded by the adult cows quite often. Is it a cow, though? I can't really see, sorry. Let's just have a look what happens here. So I feel the female on the left is becoming a little bit more aggressive. Look at that pose. Let me lay my trunk on my forehead. No, it is a young boy. Now let's see how long the female will let him behave like this before she gets even more aggressive. Naughty. So he's probably just under 20 or around 20 or so. And you can see he's already a bit bigger than this adult female that he's busy harassing at the moment. But he's not too upset. But that can change very quickly. You hear their tusks knocking together. Now she's backing away from the area she was feeding. Or was that another young boy? It's two young boys, I think. Oh, it's two young boys. Sorry, I misread that completely. He's got a very angular head, the one on the left. But it is indeed a boy. So normally, as you can see, definitely a boy. So it's two young boys. So this is just normal shenanigans from two teenagers. How's that, Brian? So they're just playing. Now, this will obviously be quite important later in life when they get old enough to compete for mating rights with females. I thought it was quite tolerant of a female to let this guy push her around that much. But it is two young boys, but the boy on the right is bigger. Sneak attack. It's not all about size, it's about a bit of tactics there. It's just too wonderful to watch. Give up, no, you give up. They're biting the other way. He's biting. That's cheating. You're not allowed to bite when you're fighting. Naughty. I'm just going to chew your face for a little bit. So you can see this is not too much aggression in this. This is more play. Now, like with most wild animals, as I said, the play is very important for later in life when these challenges will become a bit more serious. I don't think when challenging for females you're going to be able to chew the other bull's face. Who's going to give up first? So the bull on the right is a bit bigger, probably a couple of years older. They're quite similarly aged. Oh, here we go. It's like a fencing match. Who is going to make the first parry? Oh, there we go. Lunge. that was a bit more. But when I say a bit more serious, it's not really serious at all. It's just two teenagers fooling about. Now, of course, when you're the size of an elephant, trees get broken in the process. Now, someone's got to come around the tree or push the tree onto the other. We have a standoff. Who is going to make the next move? I'm going to try to push the tree onto you. While you do that, I'll sneak attack from the side. Denise is wondering who is the referee in this situation. Well, if one really didn't want to and the other's bigger, it would just normally run away. But the bigger one seems to let, and the one on the right seems to let the little one win some, so if it was too dominant, the other one would stop playing. We don't want to be a tree or a bush when two young elephant bulls decide to start having a bit of fun. Yeah, the ivory knocking together. And the trees being flattened. And the rest of the herd feeding very sedately around. But unfortunately we are running out of light. And we're not going to be able to see them clearly for too much longer. But we will try. Let's see. Come back closer to us. Okay, well, what a fantastic way to end the sunset safari. Oh, here he comes. See how strong I am, I can break branches. Oh, yes, but I'm strong too. Don't underestimate me. But I'm backing off because I'm done now. And it's nearly time to be done with the show. And it's been great having you all with us. We're going to stick with me so I can just go bye and then back to the elephants in case something happens. But a goodbye from James, myself and everyone as they disappear into the darkness. I'm quite sure these two boys look like they're going to continue on. Unfortunately, we're right at the limit of our camera at the moment. But don't forget to join us for the sunrise safari early tomorrow morning.